Okay, what we're going to cover today is we're going to have a look at the Herdsman's action list. I'm going to explain a little bit about the settings, and we're also going to take a look at the vet check report and how you can set that up. We're going to go for about 15 minutes because obviously I appreciate everybody's very busy. I don't know what the weather's doing with you, but finally it's raining in Somerset, so that's good news. Okay, before we start, the first thing to show you is we have the dashboard where we can obviously see PDs and drying off and calvings, but I just want you to be aware of this, whereabouts the Herdsman's action list is. So if we go to the cow's head, we go to daily tasks, we go to action lists, then here I'm going to right click and then left click and add it to the toolbar. So the Herdsman's action list, what does it actually comprise of? At the moment on this one, we have two different presets. One is the dashboard, and that's everything that we can see here. And the other one is the app. So one of the common calls we get actually on the help desk, people will say, why does it say I've got 25 cows due to calve on my dashboard, but only 15 due to calve on my app? And they think obviously there's a problem. There's not a problem, they're just two different reports where we selected two different time periods. So the first thing to have a look at, if I go to the cog just above tasks, there's one little cog there, then there's a one just above that, and that's a setting. So if I hit that, it will then open it up, and these are the settings for the Herdsman's action list based on the dashboard. So I'm saying we're going to look 8 days ahead for cows to come bulling, 7 for PDs, 14 for drying off, 14 for calves, and 7 for tasks. Now this farm, they set it up so they only have the calf cows on the reports, and they set the display to be in days instead of weeks. If you want to include the young stock on your dashboard so that we have cows due to calf but also young stock due to calf, you'll need to tick this box here and then save it. That will then include the young stock. If you have got young stock in there but you don't want the young stock in there, untick it, save it, and that's it. Okay, back to the dashboard. I can see here that we have 10 cows due to dry off, 5 of which are overdue. So first of all, we'll just have a look at that. And if I have a look at this cow here, 1759, I know already that this cow was PD'd, and she was PD'd with twins, but nothing's coming up. Nothing there is telling me that this cow is going to have twins. So to make the change, go to properties, and you'll see there's a settings button here. And on this, you can decide what you actually want to include on the Herdsman's action list. And the one that I would draw your attention to is this one, add last comment from reproduction events. So then if you put a comment in after a service, it will then show. If you put in a comment after a PD, again, it will then show. So if I save it now and then say okay to that, what you'll see then is now 1759, we can see that she's got twins, but to be honest, it's not exactly jumping out at me. So what I would tend to do with something like twins, I'd probably use a cow color on it. So I'd put in a health condition, and let me just show you how to do that, and then you'll see what happens with the Herdsman's action list. So if I go to daily events, and what I've done is I've taken that code, twins, and I've attached a cow color to it. So it's going to be a health event. So it was yesterday. It asked me what the health event is. I'm going to say it's going to be twins. So just select that, then we go to twins. Okay, go to next and finish. Right, if I go back then into the Herdsman's action list, you'll now see 1759. It says twins in text because we went to the settings and said show last comment from the last reproduction event, but also then we have the cow color sitting there as well. So I think cow colors are an important part of what we're trying to achieve with the Herdsman's action list. So going on then, I can see there's 13 cows due to calve, 8 are overdue. If you're not happy with the overdue period and you want to change that, again, go back into settings. And then what we can do is We can adjust the days ahead. Well, I'm saying 14 days ahead, that's okay, I'm happy with that. But I'm only gonna get a warning coming up, let's say after 5 days. Again, when you make the change, just go across to here and say okay. And that's that report now changed. So the Herdsman's action list is really, really important on the dashboard because it shows us what's going on. But we can also configure new Herdsman's action lists. And that could be purely for the young stock, or it could be just a foot trimming list. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the Herdsman's action list. So I just selected the icon on the top. I go into properties. Okay. Now those are my 2 presets, the dashboard and the app. But what we want to do now is create a brand new list. So I go to save preset as, and I'm going to call this a foot trim list. Actually, that's horrible. I'm just going to go back and do that again. That was really, really horrible. Let's go back again. So we'll just delete that one. I don't want that anymore. So back in again. Okay, this time we'll get it right. So foot trim. Okay. Now on this list, it could be a particular list for a person, or as I said, it could just be looking at young stock. But on this one, it's purely a list of cows that are to be foot trimmed. So I can take all this stuff out and just keep the tasks on. And I want the list of cows due to be foot trimmed in the next 2 weeks. So far so good. I've picked out tasks, that's great. What I then need to do is to go to the action scheduler. And I can see I have 2 animal level events set up already. One is a foot trim at 100 days in milk, so I select that. And the other is a foot trim before dry. These are 2 completely separate action schedulers that I can bring together on the one list. So then now I save it, you say okay, and that then generates this report. So now we have all the cows, as you can see here, at 100 days, highlighted for the ones that are overdue. And then at the bottom, I have the list of cows here that are due to be trimmed before dry. So if I close that, let's just go back to the dashboard. And you'll now see why we put this up as a favorite, because anybody on the farm can just go in and say, do I want to look at my dashboard? Do I want to look at the settings on the app? Or do I just want to produce the foot trim list so I can see which cows to pull out? So using these pre-lists are really, really important. It's not just the settings on how many days forward, but you can actually construct this report for a particular individual. Okay, that's a little bit on Herdsman's action list. I think anything like this, what we're trying to do with the webinars is not necessarily mean that you can go away and do it. I just want you to be aware that that functionality is there. And then if you call the help desk, we will then talk you through it and show how you can make the changes and how you can create these new reports. And I know from doing the workshops that a lot of people just thought they just had the one list, but using the presets, we can create multiple lists. Okay, we're going to go over then to the vet check report, which is similar, but it gives you a lot of flexibility to create a specific report for your farm. So we can do more than just say, tell me the cows that are due to PD. So if I'm training, the way I explain it is I normally just go to this report first, herd fertility status, because I think this is a good report. It just highlights cows where we want to put onto a report. So this cow here, I can see she's up to, she's just over 100 days, 1733, that she's been opened. So that's a cow probably we're going to be pulling out, or maybe cows PD negative. So what the vet check report will do is it will pull out cows that meet certain reproduction criteria, and also that can have specific health events. So I'll show you where we find it now. So we'll just close everything down first. And where you need to go to will be special reports. Okay, so cow's head, special reports, and it's here, vet checklist. So we select this. Okay, so the first thing you need to do on the vet checklist is have a look at the properties to see how it's been set up. So if I go into properties, what you'll see is I've created my own presets. So again, if I want to create a new preset, I just click here and give it a name. This one I've just called weekly vet visit. I then have a separate one for the app, but this is the one we're going to look at today. What we can do then is we can say, first of all, on this screen, what do we want to show? Well, obviously I want the cow number. In this case, I want calving interval and I want SPP. If I had milk meters, absolutely, I'd select 7-day average. These are all items of information that you can put onto your vet check reports. I would say just start with a basic one and then you can expand it, because if you put everything on, there's too much information there. So start with the basics and then build it up. So I've said, yes, I want to see any health events that have happened or any treatments. But again, that can make the report very long. So you can tick this box here, days back, and say only pull out health events that have happened in the last 90 days, 60 days. That's user defined. You put in what you want. Another way that you can make this report smaller is, rather than showing if she's been served 5 times, all 5 insemination dates, which is going to take up space, you can say, look, all I want to know is when she was served last and how many inseminations she's had. And that's just show number of inseminations. So again, that can make the report smaller. Then what we need to do is we need to go across to selection. And here we can say, do you want to include the young stock and the calf cows? In this farm, I'm just saying calf cows. I would actually create a separate vet visit for the young stock. But if you want to merge the two, then of course you can do that. I can filter it down by groups as well, but generally I'm just pulling the cow calendar, so I select all groups. Okay, then we go across to reasons. And the easiest way to kind of do it is if you click on it, you'll then see what the program's asking you. So it's saying, do you want to be able to pull out every cow that's been calved more than 65 days and you haven't seen bulling? If you're not recording heats, then obviously that's meaningless. But if you are, that can be helpful. In this case, I haven't selected it. I've then selected days after calving and not served. So day 80 there, that will start pulling those cows over that we just saw on the herd fertility status report. Then what we can do is things like if the cow is PD negative and it hasn't been seen bulling or served again, pull her out. So after 14 days, if she hasn't met those criteria, she will go onto the list. If she's had short cycles, so again, you can really customize it. But I'm keeping this one just simple as an example to show you. So cows not seen bulling or not inseminated, yes, they're on the list. Cows PD'd, they're on the list. Cows that have been served more than 4 times, I want to know about it. And a recheck PD. Okay, when you're PDing the cow, you can say she's in calf, she's not in calf, I'm not sure, or she's barren. If you select not sure and tick this box, then again, she will come up after X number of days. If you do a weekly one, I'd set that at 7 days. If it's fortnightly, then 14. The cow then will come back on the list with a question, recheck PD, question mark. People doing pre-dry PDs, again, you can have it. And I also selected just the one here, which was a health check. So again, when we create our health conditions, we have the option to say, if she has this condition, do you want it just as a remark? Or do you want it as a reason for a vet check? Or do you want no presentation? So if it's metritis, I would say that is a reason for a vet check. And that cow will then automatically go onto the report. She will stay on the report until we actually say vet checked okay, and that will then take her off. That bit's important. So if you record that she had metritis, she'll go on the list. She will stay there until you tell the program that she's being checked by the vet and she's okay. That will then remove her from the vet check reports. Okay, there's another little bit that I wasn't going to show you because it's brand new, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. But one of the things that came out of the workshops, if people were doing a weekly vet visit, it's really frustrating if the vet sees the cow and says, okay, she has this, I don't need to see her for 3 weeks. You then run the report again, and of course she comes up. So the poor cow is sorted again, but the vet never needed to see her. The only way we could get around that basically was to put the cow into like a hospital group or something, and then when she was okay, to move her back to the main group. But again, that's a bit of a faff. It's more of a workaround than a solution. So they have changed it. It's not on your versions yet, but it will be coming. And there's a new button now saying don't show. And that will actually remove the cow from the vet check list. If you want to see the ones that you put on as a no-show, it's there, hidden vet check item. So you put a tick in there, the cow will then come onto the list. But as I said, you haven't got this functionality yet, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Okay, I'm happy with my settings there, so I say okay. I'm then going to go to don't show, and I can go to next. And what will happen here is, if I look at the cows, I can select the cow and say, okay, I don't want this cow to appear on the list. So 1926, I know she's been inseminated multiple times, but the vet has said, leave her for 3 weeks, then we'll check her again. So I can go to the next button, and then I can put in the number of days. I can see here, there I'm going to say 30 days, could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you want. And it's going to be keep off list. Yeah, a lot of problems with my keyboard today. Right, keep off list and then finish. That will then automatically remove that cow from the vet checklist. So then what we have is a list of cows here. This cow has been served multiple times. That's why she's on the list. These cows are for PDs. If we keep moving down, we'll see the various reasons why cows have been included. Okay, what we can then do is if we go to print preview, so we look in here. Here I can see 79 is on there for a re-insemination, the one for PDs. Keep scrolling down. And then on the top left-hand side, this is page 1 of 2. If we go to the second page, you'll then see there's a breakdown which explains what the reasons are. And if we scroll a little bit further down, then we can see the summary. So there's 3 cows basically that have been calved more than 80 days. So there's the 1733 that we haven't actually inseminated yet. Then we have cows obviously that have calves that are due to be PD'd. I have 13 of those. Then I have 6 problem cows, and these are cows that have had multiple services. So I think this is a good report whereby you can say to the vet, okay, you're coming on Tuesday or whatever it happens to be, this is what we have for you. These are the number of cows that we need to see. So to summarize, the Herdsman's action list they're both very different reports. Okay, they're both pointing out cows that are due to be PD'd, but I think the dashboard is super important. The settings for the app, again, really, really important. And with the vet check, you can pull out not only cows that have not been seen pulling, not been inseminated, are due for PD, but also health reasons as well. And I'm just going to finish to show you that on the health condition list, because that's how you can put cows onto that list. If you go to health condition list here, these are my reasons. So if I go into there, a prolapse, let's say, edit, and if I go across to edit there, action for vet checklist, if I record that against a cow at the moment, she won't come up on the vet checklist because we've said no presentation. But obviously, if she's got a prolapse, I'm going to say that's the reason for a vet check. Say OK. When we record that, the cow will then automatically come onto the list. And for those of you not sure about how you put a cow color onto twins, if I go across to edit, so there's the bit for the vet check. So again, I could have that as a reason, but on this one, I'm just going to say it's a remark only. And then here, I've allocated a color. And what I could do is I could say, okay, keep the color on, but you can take it off after, let's say, 280 days, whatever it happens to be. That will then automatically remove her.